Llano Dunes District. And for today's program, I am so excited to welcome you outside down here to the beautiful Pacific Ocean. We are going to be learning about one animal in particular that calls the ocean its home. In today's program, we are going to learn all about the sea star. Now, most people know the sea star as a starfish, but what if I were to tell you this is not a fish at all? In fact, the sea star doesn't even belong to the same family as fish. He's more closely related to sea urchins and sand dollars, and they belong to the echinoderm family, which means bumpy skin. Sea stars live along the bottom of the ocean floor, both on sandy bottoms and along rocky shorelines in the tide pools. Right now, I am standing on a sandy shoreline, but you can imagine just out past me, under the breaking waves, underwater is where the sea stars live. They are like fish, which means they have gills, which means they need to breathe underwater. So sea stars are always going to be found either underwater or right in that splash zone where the waves are constantly crashing up on them to keep them wet. Now there are over 2,000 species found worldwide in all of the world's oceans. But here in California, we are going to learn about our local species today. There's 3 species I want you to know about that live right out here off of our coast.
The first type of sea star you should know about is called the Okra Star. Okra sea stars are perhaps the most abundant type of sea star that you'll most commonly see when you're out here exploring the tide pools. They come in purple and orange, and they consistently have 5 arms. Next up are the bat stars, which gets their name from the shape of their bodies. As you can see, their arms kind of have a webbed-like appendix connecting them that gives them that short and stubby look, kind of like bat wings. Bat stars come in all different colors. Some are even kind of a reddish-orange tie-dye color. Others might be more purplish. And they can grow to be about 5 inches long. And the final species I want you to be able to identify are the sunflower sea stars. And as you can see here, they have a much different shape than the bat star or the okra stars because they have up to 24 arms. While sunflower stars are born with just the normal 5 arms, as they mature and grow to become adults, they grow more arms until they reach about 24 arms. They are much larger than your average sea star, which means they don't really fit inside of a normal tide pool or along the rocky shoreline, so they will be found deeper out under the waves in the kelp forest habitat.
Great, now that we've learned about the different types of local species that live out here along the coastline here at Frisco State Beach, I want us to dive in and learn a bit about the anatomy or the body structure of these cool animals. Most species of sea stars have 5 arms, which is easy to remember, like your 5 fingers. And on the back side of these 5 arms, they have hundreds of tiny little tube feet lining their arms that help them walk and help them stick on to the rocks in the bottom of the ocean. In the middle of the sea star's body, that is actually where his mouth is. So if you go ahead and feel your belly button right now, imagine that's where your mouth is. Now imagine you live upside down, crawling around on the ocean floor. It starts to make a lot of sense.
Now, have you ever wondered if sea stars have eyes and if they can see? And if so, where do you think these eyes would be located? No, not in the middle of its body. Researchers have actually found that sea stars have compound light-sensing eyes at the end of each arm. These eyes are different than our human eyes, as they can just mainly see light and dark colors as they navigate along the seafloor and in the tide pool habitat. And finally, the last body part I want you all to learn about on sea stars is called a madreporite. The madreporite is a light-colored plate that covers a small opening on a sea star's back, and this opening is used to filter water into a sea star's body. Instead of having blood like we do, the sea star's vascular system has seawater running through it. The water creates a pressure difference, and these water actually helps to control the suction on the end of their tube feet. So the next time you see a sea star or see a picture of a sea star, why don't you try and see if you can notice its madreporite?
One other really cool fact about sea stars is the fact that they can regrow their arms. You might have learned about this with lizards. If they get their tails chopped off, they can actually grow back a new tail. But did you know sea stars can grow back an arm? Maybe a seagull comes down and swoops and eats one of his arms off. He can say, you can have that arm, seagull, because I can grow back another arm. This process is called regeneration, as they can regenerate or regrow an arm. Now let's learn about what a sea star's favorite meal might be. You live out here in the ocean. What do you think you would eat for lunch today?
Now, you might be guessing fish or maybe plankton, but let's remember the sea star can't swim or chase after its prey. So instead, the sea star seeks out other animals that are living attached to their same rocks in their tide pool habitat. Have you spotted it yet? Maybe here you can see sea stars' favorite meal are the California mussel. California mussels are a bivalve, which means they're a shellfish that have two shells that close together to protect a gooey animal that's related to the snail on the inside of its shells. Now, a mussel's only defense is to squeeze these two shells closed to protect the animal on the inside. But sea stars, they are quite strong and quite clever. Remember all of those hundreds of tiny tube feet? Well, they use those tube feet to begin to pry open the mussel shells. Next, they begin to place the mussel right up there next to his stomach and its mouth so it can begin to eat its prey. But what if I were to tell you sea stars, they don't have any teeth, so they are not going to be chewing the mussel. Instead, they do something really cool. They can actually stick their stomach out of their body, and they stick their stomach inside the mussel shell to digest that mussel animal. Now, this is kind of hard to imagine, but I have a really cool video clip I want to share with you where scientists put a tiny camera inside of a mussel shell to give us an insider perspective of what this looks like when the sea star's stomach comes out of its body. Let's check it out.
Settling on its victim, the sea star hunkers down and begins its attack. The miniature camera, tucked within the mussel's shell, gives us the first look ever at the carnage that unfolds here every day. Once the tube feet have physically breached the mussel's defensive line, the sea star's translucent stomach begins the final assault. The animal actually pushes its stomach inside the mussel's shell, unfolding like a fatal flower. The stomach unleashes a volley of chemical weapons, digestive juices that dissolve the mussel's soft pink flesh. All that's left is a nutrient-rich soup, a broth that's quickly absorbed by the sea star. Having assimilated the mussel, the sea star's stomach pulls away, and the animal moves on, leaving behind an empty shell.
Now it's time for us to move right along into our craft. So if you have already gotten your supplies ready, that is awesome. But if you need to pause the video right now to get your supplies, what we will be using today is a coffee filter. You can ask your parents for one of these when they drink coffee in the morning, and some construction paper so we can cut out our sea stars, and any art supplies you want to decorate the outside of your sea star.
Here's a list again of these craft supplies. You will need construction paper or white plain computer printer paper. You'll need some markers or colors to draw with. You're going to need some glue, so grab a glue stick or a bottle of glue. You're going to need a coffee filter or even just tissue paper or paper towels, and some scissors. The first step will be to trace out the shape of a sea star's body onto your paper. You can have a parent help you with this or just freestyle it. And once you are done tracing it, we are going to begin to cut out the sea star. once you have your sea star cut out, you can begin to decorate it. And you can decorate it any way you want, or you can follow along and remember the different anatomy or body parts that we learned about on the sea star. Starting on his top side, let's add in that madreporite right on the top. And along the outside of his 5 arms, does anyone remember how many eyeballs he has? That's right, he has 5 light-sensing eyes at the end of each arm. I'm going to draw his little eyes right there. That'll be the top. Now turning over the sea star, we remember his stomach is right there in the middle, so I'll draw him a big, nice stomach that we will cover up in a second. And then along each arm, does anyone remember all of the hundreds of tiny little tube feet? So you can draw little squiggly lines, you can draw little suction cup circles, however you want to draw on all of those tube feet. Here are some other examples I had done earlier. All of the tube feet, all of the little tiny suction cups, however you want to draw those. And once you are satisfied with how you have decorated your sea star's body, then it is time to add on his stomach. So for this, you will need either your coffee filter, a paper towel, or a clean tissue. And this is the fun part. We're going to squeeze it into a tiny little ball, real gently, making sure we don't rip it. And once you have your coffee filter all squished up into a ball, it's beginning to look like the sea star's stomach. So now all that's left to do is to attach it on to our sea star's body. And for this, we're going to either need that glue or a glue stick. And what we're going to do is we're going to carefully unfold the coffee filter without ripping it and take a look at where the edges are. That's where we are going to put our glue. So that way, when it turns upside down, it kind of looks like a balloon with kind of the bag, or it looks like a shower cap to me too, how his stomach blows up like that. And on the bottom, where all the edges are, right here, that's where we're going to put our glue. Now, we never need too much glue, as you know. So just a little bit right in the middle. Turning it over and adding it right to the middle of the sea star's body, where his mouth is. You can kind of squeeze and press it down so that the glue attaches nicely. And then we're going to wait. About, how long does it take for glue to dry? A few minutes here, being patient. And once the glue has dried, you can kind of puff up the stomach to see what it would look like when it's outside of its body. So pulling up your sea star, taking a 360 view look. That's pretty cool. Then you can smush the stomach back inside, squishing it all back down. And then if you really want, you could turn him upside down the way he is supposed to be as he is crawling on a rock. Now you can take your sea star and go teach your friends about the sea star's body parts and about its cool stomach, how it likes to eat mussels and clams. Great work, everyone.
All right, Junior Rangers, your crafts look awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today for this fun program to learn about sea stars. That's it for today's program, but you guys are now going to become official Junior Rangers. So for this, I'm going to send it over to my friend Michelle, and you will all take our Junior Ranger pledge.
Hi, it's Interpreter Michelle here at Oceano Dunes District. If you're watching this, it means you've completed a virtual Junior Ranger program, and it's time for the next step, saying the Junior Ranger pledge and being sworn in as an official Junior Ranger. So, if you're ready, stand up, raise your right hand, and repeat this pledge after me. As a Junior Ranger, I promise to explore our parks and pick up litter, to protect every plant and every critter, to learn important stories of our past so that these treasured places last. I will keep our parks out of danger because I am a Junior Ranger. Wow, congratulations. Welcome to the team, Junior Rangers. We're glad to have you.
All right, great work, Junior Rangers. And if you are interested in receiving a digital Junior Ranger certificate, have your parents send us an email to this address listed here. And for more online activities such as coloring sheets and other fun games, make sure you check out our Padlet page by visiting the website here. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week.